Hey everyone, so I'm trying something new with this Screencast-O-Matic to see how it's going to work for you and if this might be a helpful way to explain some of my assignments. So, most of you should be pretty far along in the poetry book by now, but if you haven't started yet, it's not too late. It's not due till Friday, so you would still have today and the rest of the week to complete it. So, if you look at your page, you're going to go into the classwork tab. Any day that you're entering class, also make sure you answer the attendance question for that day. But you're going to scroll down for now and look at poetry unit and poetry book. So for most of you, actually for all of you that are doing the poetry book, you're actually going to be in year 1. So if I accidentally put you on year 2, don't worry about that. There's a lot of different examples in here to help you do the poetry book, but this is everything that you're going to need. So it breaks it down to the type of poems that you're going to need to include in your poetry book, the things that you need to identify within poetry. So you can either identify these things in the poems that you put in for this part, or you can identify them in a new poem. That's up to you. You'll also need one poem that relates to a mother-child relationship. So again, you can always double dip. You can make it a haiku about a mother-child relationship or a found poem, etc. So this, by the end of it, will be 130 points once you add up all these different criteria. So if you haven't started your poetry book yet, there's 2 different ways that you can do it. You can either make a Google Slides or use the poetry template that I already put in there for you. So if you're using the poetry book template, it'll have this line in the middle, and that would normally separate the pages. If we were in the physical building, we would bind this together for you. Or you can do a Google Slides instead if you prefer using Google Slides. So it doesn't really matter which format you use, it's just up to you on what you prefer. So what you'll need first is a table of contents. If you look at the example, you'll see that each of them have a table of contents. So if you're using the poetry book template, your table of contents will be on one of the pages and look something like this. And if you're using the PowerPoint, it would be your first slide. All that does is it tells your reader where to find each type of poem, which will also help me when I'm grading it. When you're identifying literary devices within the poems, you want to put it in your table of contents, so the student did not do that. So I would actually, if I were the student, go back to page 1 where it just says catalog verse and put onomatopoeia and sick verse. Now, obviously I messed up the formatting a bit on this with the way the student had it, so you then have to go in and fix it. But this way, I know where you're going to be identifying those terms. If you don't know what something means, I posted a poetry terms PowerPoint, so you can look in the PowerPoint for any of those terms if you're not familiar with them. That PowerPoint is all in alphabetical order. And I feel like there was one last thing. Oh, most of these poems you can find online. They don't have to be written by you. The only ones that need to be written by you are the found poem and 2 haikus. Also, if you love to write poems, you do need at least 3 poems by published poets. So just make sure that 3 of these are by published poets. And that should be about it. But as always, I'm on the Meet every class day and on Hangouts every class day if you have questions. All right, take care.